Hello, beautiful friends. How are you all doing today? I am excited that it's the month of June. I feel like the energies got really weird there for a second. I know there's still some solar flares going on and that sort of deal. But I'm just mostly feeling tired now, but also like really energized and excited for all that's to come. I feel like there's going to be massive breakthroughs this month as far as like energies and longings that we've been holding are going to start coming to fruition. That feels really nice. I think we're going to see some large, some large shifts. This morning I dreamt of a volcano, and then 10 hours later, a massive volcano erupted in Etna. So we're in it already. The premonitions are coming hot and heavy. So I'd like to begin today by doing, we're going to do a reading for the masculine and feminine, whether within us or within union, wherever you're at. And we've already got cards flying all over the place. And first card to come up is for the feminine, which is the Moonlight card, all right? So what I'm really getting with the energies of the Moonlight card as it relates to the feminine is that we are asking to, and I was just talking about dreams, right? So there's a lot going on in the dream state as far as premonition-y energies, as well as the typical like clearing out the subconscious. Now, a lot of this stuff is not just this life, not just stuff that you experience in the day. Like we're doing like massive cleansing for the collective within our dreams. So a lot of the stuff you might be cleansing and releasing in your dreams has nothing to do with you particularly. You're just cleansing it for the protective collective, because you are a protector and someone who helps cleanse for the entire collective on this earth. So this is really good stuff. I think a lot of what's being transmuted is fears, and I do believe that these fears are related to the union energies. We are, of course, reading on love after all. So, and also there's a lot of shedding of illusion going on, which is really good. It's like the release of the fantasy while simultaneously coming into the fantasy, the reality of the fantasy. When we really take a step back from the rom-coms and from the fairy tales, there's a lot of upheaval. There's a lot of intensity within them. And I think we always, get stuck on the energy of the happily ever after, but there's so much more to the tale that, as we know. Now, what we know is that up until this point, a lot of the stuff has been about the individual journeys as they come into union. That's when we get to the happily ever after. But I'm really getting the impression right now that we are actively starting to rewrite the story of what the happily ever looks like, and we're doing it together once in union. And if you're not in that actively, like, it's on its way if you're seeing this video. Okay. And the next card that comes up is Strength, which this is just an indication of these internal energies going on as it relates to the love energies during the month of June. Now, I really do believe that the masculine is grounding in his desire for union, his understanding that about himself. He's understanding what he wants. But as, of course, none of us are showing up completely healed within a relationship, right? So what the Strength card really represents to me, and it was funny, I was just in a little elusive phase before, and I was looking at different wedding dresses and this sort of thing, thinking about like what wreath or veil I'd have in my hair, and I just love that, she's got this going on. Now, I feel like this coming up for the masculine is that he is starting to create structures in which it's like he's bringing the so this is Little Red Riding Hood, right? So she's taken off her cloak, she's taken off her protection, and it's now on the ground, and it's this safe space for both of them to connect, where he can be his true self, where she can be hers. They can be safe and connected simultaneously. So that feels really nice, and I love this paired with this energy. Okay. So now we're going to see what the third energy wants us to know in relation to the lovescape of June, love and romance. Okay, Two of Boons. Okay, this is the Two of Pentacles. Now, what I love that this is the shared energy is that there's a lot of balance going on. And I'm noticing even for myself today, I've been like floating all over the place. Like I was doing really dense work and like having deep conversations in my dream after the volcano erupted, of course. And, you know, having conversations with people's higher selves. And I'm feeling really ungrounded today. Like I feel floaty. And I'm okay with feeling that way, but it's also like a balance because I also have to get work done sometimes, right? And I was just thinking about like, oh, you know, this is why like people can't be in love all the time because it's so hard to balance and get other stuff done. But really it's about integrating this balance, right? And I think again with these two cards, you know, we're integrating like, you know, the subconscious, the energy realms with what's happening in the physical. As with like this, it's like, you know, we've got to integrate and balance this dynamic in love where we know that we're not showing up completely as our full selves, but we know that we're on the trajectory to doing that. So how we hold space for that individually and how we hold space for the beloved. What I also noticed about that is there's this little like troll underneath the bridge, and this guy is like completely unfazed by it. So what this says too is just like we're walking, you know, like what's that phrase? Like the water under the bridge. I don't actually know what that means, but what I think that it means is just like, just let it be. Like we don't have to acknowledge or like, you know, continue to like address the troll under the bridge. Like that's something in the past. And if there is some healing or anything that needs to be done around the connections that you've experienced, if there's been any sort of rips or tears within the dance with the beloved who's physically in your life, like do the work around that. Like, can you have compassion for maybe where you were the bad guy in the story, where you were the villain, where you were maybe more in the ego self and you weren't operating from that place of true love? Like, can you release the mask that you may have put on your beloved for them being the bad guy when maybe they were just overwhelmed and having a hard time? So I ask these questions because I'm asking these questions for myself. All right. So that's the internal energies. And I believe, yeah, and I'm going to just go to the external energies and then we'll see if anything else wants to come through. So as we visit the external energies, I want to see what's showing up during the month of June for the feminine, for the masculine in relation to love, relationships, and union. And then we're going to check in with the shared energy. So we're starting with the feminine. What are we looking at during this month? Okay. Oh, we got two cards that popped out. Hilarious. Got these exact same cards for somebody else in a reading earlier today. And I'm going to do the masculine because I'd like to just see them together. And yeah, I'm going to do two cards for him as well. Okay. Interesting. Okay, so for the feminine, we've got like this radiant Queen of Cups energy and balance. Okay, so I feel like these are mirrored cards and I really like this. Queen of Cups and the Moon card are very close major or minor arcana. Now with the Queen here, you know, the Queen of Cups, Queen's very strong feminine energy, but her coming up with this Justice card, very similar with her coming up with the shared energy of the Two of Boons, right? So this shows me there's bigger lessons going on here of balancing the emotional realms, the mental realms, the spiritual realms, the physical realms, but especially the emotions. Where did you let the emotions run rampant? And where were you not actually in the goddess energy? And can you reharmonize and balance that so you can see the truth not only of the emotion of the situation, but also for the truth of what it is? I was talking with a friend earlier today, and we were a client, and we were talking a lot about triggers and how when you're in a triggered state, it's so often that you miss the real picture of what's actually going on. And so finding these tools, you know, I highly recommend having a therapist if you haven't worked through some of that that stuff with a professional. I've also really enjoyed like working with ChatGPT and like kind of reassessing my conversations because I want to get better at communicating. I want to get better at seeing a bigger picture that's not lost in my own perspective. I love that my left eye got really itchy there for a second. Right as I'm talking about seeing clearly and not seeing the masculine clearly, my masculine side's like, you didn't, it's all blurry and you lost it. So it's just a reminder to really check in with that. So this is just about cultivating the balance. Now for the masculine, what came out was the Six of Swords followed by the Page of Pentacles. And I'm not seeing it as So what I see in this, okay, so is on the Six of Swords, I haven't spent much time with this card, but what I see is just like someone on a trip, there's been a rainstorm, so there's a lot of heavy energies, but it's just kind of like being guided by spirit and kind of trusting that this is the process. There's some heaviness, there's some weight. Oh, so we do have, okay. This is what's happening. Okay, so I was talking about the protective cloak. She's wearing the protective cloak again. So this showing up in the physical indicates to me that the feminine is still having some guarding for the masculine. And he's kind of being not guided by that, but that might be something that is it's needing to be brought to the surface. It's almost like her pains and her hurts and her her stuff is being brought forward, and he's having to stand it, and he's having to transmute it. He's having to stand in this thing, and he's having, in a way, to learn how to be a magician. Now, we didn't get the magician in this card. We got the Page of Wands, okay? So this is the child. This is the child who is just learning how to use their masculine magic. It's just learning how to use their wand, okay? And I think that reflects this of like, you know, the wolf is, in my other deck, the strength is the Beauty and the Beast card, right? And it's like, it's the beauty and the beast in the card. It's not the transformed beast. Personally, I always like the beast better in his beast-like state than in the transformed energy. Maybe someday that will change for me. But I think what I know about that is I know that we're not showing up, that we can't always show up as our completely healed selves, because sometimes our work of healing is healing with the other person, is being present with another. So I feel like this is like the masculine who's just learning how to use his wand, but is like so stoked about it. It's like, let me heal you, babe. Like, throw it at me. So they're able to receive the information of, hey, that action hurt me, or I was mad. This da-da-da-da-da. Now, this all being said is the woman's got to come forward to speak this, but not from a place of judgment. You've got to come speaking. You can't come blaring at them being like, hey, you jerkhead, blah, blah, blah. That's not going to be beneficial, right? But coming into that Queen of Cups energy and really being present with what happened in the past or what's happening in the present and speaking for it and letting him start to understand of how he can show up. Now, he might not go like deep into his process. He'd be, I know my action sucked. That might be it. And that might be where you have to accept that. And you can keep your shawl on if it's not enough for you. But you can also know that that's a part of their process of revealing how their actions hurt others, how their hurts are hurting others, and that, like, by you stepping forward in that truth without judgment helps them assess more and deeper what is going on for them, which is a really beautiful process. Now, it's the same as the Strength card, right? It's I'm going to come forward. I'm not perfect yet, but I'm going to work to be nurturing. You can't take the wolf out of the wolf. But you can't take the man. You can take the man out of the wolf, but you can't take the wolf out of the man, maybe. That we're always going to have those darker, heavier parts in us, and they are going to come up no matter how hard we heal. Now, they'll come up less and less and less, and they'll get softer and softer and softer, but those things never truly go away. You know, it's same with the whole, like, the Japanese, I always forget the name of it, the Japanese art of, like, once you break a plate, the plate gets broken. You can seal the cracks with gold, but it's still a broken plate, right? And it's the lessons, and it's the way that gold moves between those cracks that helps define our story. And hell yeah, we want a good story. Okay, so now for the shared energy. What does the shared energy want us to know as it relates to the physical? As it relates to the month of June, as it relates to love and union for this masculine and feminine. Okay. I love this. I don't think there's another card that wants to come out. I will ask. Is there another card that wants to come out? No. Okay, so Six of Wands. This is a victory card. Just was watching a reading earlier. She also drew this same card, right? Six of Wands. This is victory. This is triumph. This is also what I feel right now is the feminine is like rising into this just like radiance of just like, you celebrate me, you cherish me, you worship me. I accept nothing less. All right. So the more that we are in that energy, and it's okay to have wobbles, but like, she's not wobbling here, you know. This is nice. There's the reef, which ties to this card, which shows me that not only are We get, and you know, she's about to be crowned here. It's like hovering above her head. Okay, so what I'm really getting for this is like in the physical, like we are closer to like the true union part. We are closer to the happily ever after than we have ever been, right? And we are in the part of the fairy tales where the woman has, where the feminine has come into her radiant understanding, you know. And sometimes that radiant understanding is asleep in a coffin in the forest and waiting to be kissed by her beloved, is in that surrendered state. And sometimes it's really stepping into her power, stepping into the light, stepping into her purpose, and sharing that unabashedly with the world. And the masculine is here to support this. Now, this is happening because of the shared energies, not only within our own structure, you know, the as above, so below, as within, so without. Like, it's not only within that, but the masculine are coming up. They want to see us shine. They want that we can't play small anymore. And anything that's coming up, any endings or anything that you are experiencing, is because you cannot play small in those energies anymore. You can absolutely not do it. You have to step forward and see yourself. And I speak from myself as the feminine, and I speak to all my ladies out there. But however this resonates or sits with you, it applies to all of us walking on planet Earth right now. Now, some of us remember more, and others of us do not. And you know, there's a full spectrum of people at different places on their journey. But for those of you watching this video, this is it. This is the time we've been waiting for, and it is coming into being. It is victorious. It is beautiful. It is filled with love. So, hallelujah. Thank you, Jesus, Mother, Father, God, Goddess, all that is. Thank you for this blessed reading, and I feel complete with that one. I'm going to make some more on some other themes, and we'll see where this takes us. All right, have a blessed day. Much love. Much love.